Hello everyone, today I want to talk about the new upcoming character, the Wanderer, formerly known as Scaramouche, and hopefully you help you figure out if he fits your playstyle and team composition, so ultimately if this character is worth your wishes. First I will go over the skill kit and talk about some build ideas, and in the later half I'll get into synergies with other characters and team compositions. His normal attacks, you will use them quite a lot, but they aren't anything too interesting, so let's skip straight to the elemental skill. It allows the Wanderer to float, and it improves normal and charged attacks. While airborne, Kogoryoko points are consumed constantly, gaining height or sprinting increases the consumption, and once you run out of it, it ends the floating state called Wind Favored. As far as elemental burst skill, it's quite simple, just some quick anemo damage, hitting multiple times, and on top of that, it ends the Wind Favored state. So you likely want to use it to end it as kind of a finisher when it's about to end naturally anyway. As for passive skills, the wind favored state can be infused the same way like we are used to from different other anemo characters. Hydro Infusion increases the Kogiryoko points, Pyro increases attack, Cryo increases crit rate, and Electro restores energy upon hits. Up to 2 infusions can be active at the same time. His second passive skill, while your wind favored state is active, your normal and charge attacks have a chance to give you a buff which allows you to accelerate for free once while also dealing some extra damage. And his last passive skill, Ascending Bows and Catalyst, is discounted. Scaramouche feels kind of unique. The closest comparison would probably be Hazel, but it still feels very different. The Wanderer is very mobile with the ability to float in the air and do a bunch of ranged normal or charged attacks from above. He doesn't seem to be your usual swirl bot, but more like a character like Zhao who deals actual raw damage with his skills. As for weapon options, you still have the good old Widsith, which is always a solid option for DPS Catalyst characters. In case you still have the Ludocutates, it might be interesting for the extra charge attack and normal attack damage. And of course, if it's a main DPS character, 5-star options are always great. I even like the Lost Prayer for this character because he has a lot of field time, so you actually get to ramp up this effect, and the increased movement speed can be quite fun for a character that is this mobile. As for artifacts, of course, we get a new artifact set in patch 3.3 for anemo damage, which will be your best option, but until then, I think the 2-piece Viridescent set plus the Shiminawa set or anything that has extra stats, maybe Gladiator, can be a good choice, and you just go for extra damage stats like crit rate, crit damage, attack, obviously, like always for main DPS characters. So as for team compositions, you're looking for characters that shred anemo resistance. Of course, the first option is Zhongli with a shield that shreds resistance to any element, and the other option is the new character Feruzan. She has anemo shredding in her base skill kit, and she also increases your character's anemo damage, which is great for basically any Wanderer or Zhao comp, so I will go as far and say that she is probably a must-have for this composition. Luckily, she is on the same banner as Scaramouche, so there's a good chance that you will get her. And if you're thinking about the Viridescent set, it doesn't work. Of course, it only shreds resistance to Hydro, Pyro, Electro, or Cryo. It's just the anemo character that has to wear it. And now for the healer slot, the first option is Zhongli, and in my opinion the best one. You're just pressing his skills and no problems there. Next we have Bennett, still a great option. Of course, his attack buff is a lot of value for attack scaling main DPS characters like Scaramouche who want to have a lot of field time. Unfortunately, it can make things awkward if you're floating up around in the air and constantly have to watch the ground to make sure that you're still inside Bennett's elemental burst skill. So this can be a little bit annoying, and I think these are the two best options. If you get to characters like Shinobu, for example, it gets really awkward because her elemental skill obviously pulsates around Scaramouche, and since he is up in the air, it will be very unlikely that she actually hits something with it. So I'd say it's between Bennett and Zhongli. In the last slot, you could choose to pick another utility character, like for example Candice or Yunjin for extra normal attack damage, and between Yunjin and Zhongli you also get Geo Resonance. Alternatively, you could choose to pick another sub-DPS character that is either Hydro, Electro, Pyro, or Cryo, because remember, Scaramouche's passive talent gets a lot of extra value from these elements. You have some characters that trigger normal attacks like Yelan, Jingshou, or Beidou, for example, which should be no problem, or just extra passive damage like Fischl, Raiden, or Yai. These characters are the best options in my opinion. And for the remaining 3 slots, you can definitely play Toma instead of Zhongli in the healer slot because he has also very strong shields. But to make it worth it, I think you kind of need C6 for the extra charge attack damage bonus. I think otherwise he is definitely not worth it. But you can play another Hydro sub DPS for some extra nice vaporize damage. For Zhangling, it gets even weirder for the same reason as Shinobu, for example, because her elemental burst skill rotates around the Wanderer, and as he is airborne, Zhangling will likely miss a lot of her hits. And next, we have a Rosaria, who is really strong because of the crit chance buff, plus the passive crit chance from the passive skill of the Wanderer. So you can get a lot of free crit chance. But it's awkward for the same reason as Bennett is awkward, because you need to stay inside her little field that she places down, so you have to be constantly aware of it while you're floating in the air. Alright, we made it to the end. I hope this was somewhat helpful. Scaramouche looks super fun and unique, which is especially nice since I feel like a lot of people were really anticipating him. And I don't think they will be disappointed. I get the Wanderer and try him out, so stay tuned for that. Until then, have fun and bye bye.